What's going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 of the most wanted albums for my vinyl collection. Now, everyone has those lists of albums that they would love to have in their collection, but there is always a catch to why they are not there. Whether the album is out of print, extremely hard to find, unavailable, high value, or not even pressed onto vinyl. Now, due to the nature behind releases like these, they are considered to be grails in anyone's collection. So I took the time to see which albums that I love, and I do have on CD and other platforms, but not on vinyl, and I managed to narrow it down to the top 5. The first one being Sonic Boom by Kiss. Now, 2009 was a great year to be a Kiss fan because this was the first time that we saw a studio album from these guys in 11 years, the last one being 1998's Psycho Circus. And for myself as a fan, I had almost accepted the fact that Psycho Circus would be the last studio album. And granted, I was there to see the release of things like Kiss Symphony Alive 4, the Rock the Nation DVD, the Kissology DVDs, but it was just great to say that I lived to see a studio album come out by my favorite band, and that feeling was experienced by many young Kiss fans back in the 70s when albums like Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and Love Gun first came out. So I was very happy to have my moment finally, and I'll never forget October 6, 2009. Since the album was only being sold at Walmart, I remember going to my local Walmart before school, picking up a copy, listening to it on the way to school, and when I came home, listened to the rest of it, and seeing them in concert about a week later. I had the flu and I still saw the show. It was just an amazing time, and I just devoured that album so much. Now, Sonic Boom did indeed get a vinyl release in 2010. There were 1,000 copies made on various colors. The colors being black, red, blue, green, and purple. Came in a nice gatefold sleeve, included a nice exclusive poster. Overall, a beautiful package. But the downside is, back in 2010, I was not collecting vinyl, and I didn't really think to pick up a copy when it first came out. Now, copies are still available on KissArmyWarehouse.com, and they go for about $350, and depending on where you look, they could go for even more. So the prices have inflated over time, but one day, maybe I'll find a good deal, or perhaps it'll get reissued. It's been 10 years, give us a 10th anniversary version. Album number 2 in this countdown is Dream Theater's Black Clouds and Silver Linings. Now, this is an album that kind of came out almost around the same time frame as Sonic Boom. I remember this came out in June of 2009. It was right around the time of Father's Day, and my dad is a big Dream Theater fan, and it's thanks to him that I got into those guys. So I remember going to my local Best Buy and picking up for him the deluxe 3 CD configuration, and of course, since him and I are into the same kind of music, I got to listen to the album with him many times throughout that summer, and it just kind of became a mainstay in what I was listening to at that time, going into 7th grade and going into 8th grade. Like, I'm telling you, when I was in middle school, I was a total Dream Theater fanboy, and it's albums like this, as well as like Scenes from Memory, that really just grew my love for this band. And I think this album is also one of their most underrated efforts. It's definitely one of their more storytelling kind of albums. You only have 6 tracks, most of them breaking the 10-minute barrier, ranging from all kinds of different narratives and plots. There's the last installment in Mike Portnoy's 12-step suite. It's just a very dynamic record, and it's one that I still have lots of joy listening to. This did get one vinyl pressing back when it first came out within the US, in the EU in 2009, and it has not been repressed since. And the prices are high in the US, but in the EU, it's not too expensive, but when you convert it and you factor in the shipping costs, the value kind of racks up a little bit. So I'm hoping that one day Black Clouds and Silver Linings will get a reissue and I can finally add it to the collection. And coming in at number 3 is The Future is Medieval by the Kaiser Chiefs. Now, the way these guys released this album was radically different compared to anything else they've done, and also I think one of the most innovative ways that an artist could release an album. So what they did was they worked up, recorded, and uploaded 20 tracks on their website, and they actually allowed fans to create their own album of sorts. So they picked 10 tracks out of the 20, sequence it in their own style. They can create their own artwork using elements based off of the ideas of the songs on the album, and essentially buy it for, what's it like, maybe £8 or so, £9, something like that. And for every person that bought a copy of their album that they made themselves, the person that created it received £1 back, which I think that is just such an interesting, cool, and interactive way to put an album out to the public. I don't know if this endeavor was a total success, but in terms of being artistic and doing things differently, I think it proved to be a success. Now, considering that this was only like a digital only kind of thing, there is of course a need for physical product, so the band did release a CD version, which included, I believe it was 13 tracks out of the 20, including one track that was not uploaded with the 20 that went up on the website. And for the vinyl release, they pulled out all the stops. They did a vinyl pressing, which came on 2 10-inch records, which included all of the songs that were recorded. So there was the 20 tracks online, there was one that was on the CD version, there was an iTunes exclusive, and then there was like an instrumental sort of bonus track. 500 copies were made, and they were only sold at gigs or at Crash Records, which is in Leeds, which is their hometown in England. The most one has paid for this record is $180, and since the band has said that it was their weakest album, my hopes aren't too high for a reissue, but it still would be a nice album to have. And coming in at number 4 is Live in Mississippi by the White Stripes. Now, out of all of the White Stripes vinyl releases that are out there on the market, I would say this is the most notable one to have, and that is simply because it is a recording of the band's last show ever. And what is crazy is that the public had no clue that this show was going to be it for them. And it wasn't until the band had firmly dissolved in 2011 that this show had more significance. I think the only people that really knew were the ones that worked within the band's organization or those that were closest to the band. And the show definitely proved its significance when it was released as part of the Third Man Records Vault package. I believe it was package number 8, which came out towards the tail end of 2011. They don't specify how many copies of their Vault releases are pressed up, but this particular one is highly coveted amongst vinyl collectors, Jack White fans, White Stripes fans, Third Man collectors, people of that sort. And the most one went for was $280. And I came very, very close to getting it for around $70 on eBay. But it was an auction, and of course, due to the release's value, I got outbid, and I had to stay within my confinements. This is not likely to get repressed. Usually with Vault releases, they do a one-time pressing, and that is it, and you just kind of have to settle for what the aftermarket value is. But it sure would be wonderful to have if I can get it for a good deal sometime down the road. And last but not least is The Tragic Treasury by the Gothic Archies. Now, this is an album that I don't think a lot of people are aware of, and it's actually quite interesting. So this duo consists of musician Stephen Merritt and Daniel Handler, aka author Lemony Snicket. And this album is a sort of tie-in with Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events franchise, because each of the songs, there's 13 on this album, coincide with a certain plot, theme, or idea that goes on within each of the books that are in this series. Now, these songs were featured as part of the audiobook versions of each of the books, and It's not a full-on concept album if you were to listen to it from start to finish and get the whole storyline, but if you know the books well, like myself, because it is a part of my childhood, you will come to appreciate this album lyrically. But musically, I would say it's like gothic folk. Very acoustic in places and very quirky, nice strong melodies, but it definitely has this sort of dreary, gloomy type of feel to it. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Now, this album has never gotten a vinyl release, and I think the timing now is perfect due to the success of the Netflix series. It does have its sort of niche kind of following, so perhaps maybe doing a couple thousand or 1,000 copies would be justifiable, or maybe even less than that. But it is an album that I would love to see get a vinyl release so I can add it to my vinyl collection. So there you guys go. Those are 5 of the most wanted albums for my vinyl collection. Here's a question for you. What are your most wanted albums? Please let me know by dropping a comment down below. I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the record spinning.